Iqbal Mohamed to move the motion.
Thank you, Ms. It's a pleasure to serve with you in the chair, and it's an honour and a privilege to open this really important debate. Artificial intelligence is the new frontier of humanity. It has become the most talked about and the most invested in technology on our planet. It is developing at a pace we have never seen before. It is already changing how we solve problems in science, medicine, and industry. And it has delivered breakthroughs that were simply out of reach a few years ago. The potential benefits are real, and we are already seeing them. However, so are the risks and the threats, and that is why we are here today. I want to thank my colleague Aaron Lucas, as well as Axiom, the author of the book Driven to Extinction, and Joseph Miller and Jonathan Bostock from Pause AI for their help in preparing for this debate. Pause AI have already sent a briefing to all MPs, which I would encourage them to read. This debate focuses, AI is very broad, but this debate focuses specifically on AI safety. The possibility that AI systems could directly harm or kill people, whether through autonomous weapons, cyber attacks, biological threats, or escaping human control, and what the government can do to protect us all. I will share examples of benefits and opportunities and move on to real harms, threats, and risks, or as I call it, the good, the bad, and the potential end of the world. So the good. In the NHS, AI systems can analyse scans and test results in seconds, helping clinicians spot serious conditions earlier and with greater accuracy. They're already being used to ease administrative load, improve how hospitals plan resources, help shorten waiting lists, and give doctors and nurses the time to focus on care rather than paperwork. In government services, better use of AI can also improve how government services function. It can speed up the processing of visas, benefits, tax reviews, and casework. It offers more accurate tools for detecting fraud, protecting public money, and by modelling transport, housing, and energy demand at a national scale, it can help departments make decisions based on evidence they simply couldn't gather on their own. It can, in the public sector, it can also make everyday work across the public sector more efficient by taking on routine work, allowing civil servants to focus on judgment, problem solving, and human decisions that no system can replace. AI has already delivered breakthroughs in science and technology that were far beyond our reach only a few years ago. Problems once thought unsolvable are now being cracked in weeks or even in days. One of the clearest examples is the work on protein folding, for which the 2024 Nobel Prize for Chemistry was awarded not to chemists, but to AI experts John Jumper and Demis Hassabis at Google DeepMind. For decades, scientists struggled to map the shapes of key proteins in the human body, and the AI system AlphaFold has now solved thousands of them. A protein structure is often the key to developing new treatments for cancers, genetic disorders, and antibiotic-resistant infections. And what once took years of painstaking laboratory work can now be done in hours. Medicines, we're also beginning to see entirely new medicines designed by AI, with several AI-designed drug candidates already reaching clinical trials for conditions like fibrosis and certain cancers. There are many, many other benefits which I could go on, but in the interest of time, I'll move to the bad. Alongside these many benefits, we have already seen how this technology can cause real harm when it is deployed without care or regulation. In some cases, the damage has come from simple oversight, in others from deliberate misuse. Either way, the consequences are no longer theoretical. They are affecting people's lives today. In November 2025, Anthropic revealed the first documented large-scale cyber attack driven almost entirely by AI, with minimal human involvement. A Chinese state-sponsored group exploited Anthropic's Claude AI to conduct cyber espionage on about 30 global targets, including major tech firms, financial institutions, and government agencies, with the AI handling 80 to 90% of the intrusion autonomously. Anthropic has warned that barriers to launching sophisticated attacks have fallen dramatically, meaning even less experienced groups can carry out attacks of this kind. Mental health professionals are now treating AI psychosis, a phenomenon where individuals develop or experience worsening psychotic symptoms in connection with AI chatbot use. Documented cases include delusion, conviction that AI has answers to the universe, and paranoid schizophrenia. OpenAI disclosed that approximately 0.07% of ChatGPT users exhibit signs of mental health emergencies each week. With 800 million weekly users, this amounts to roughly 560,000 people per week being affected. I will give way.
Thank you, the member, for giving way. On that specific note about mental health chatbots, I was alarmed to hear that 1 in 3 adults in the UK have relied on AI chatbots to get mental health advice and sometimes treatment. This is partly due to the long waiting lists and people looking for alternatives. But does he agree with me that this lack of regulation and potentially dangerous advice, which is sometimes giving people of eating disorders advice on how to lose even more weight, is something that absolutely needs to be taken into control by better regulation?
I thank my honourable friend for his intervention, and I completely agree. The functionality that's available in these tools, the way that it's used, wherever regulations exist for that service in our society, the same regulation should be applied to automated tools providing that level of service. And clearly, controlling an automated system will be more difficult than training healthcare professionals and doing audits of their effectiveness. I will give way.
Thank the honourable gentleman for giving way and congratulate him on bringing this really important debate to the House. And it is certainly the case that UK law, where it applies to AI just as it applies online. I think the question is whether AI requires new regulation specifically to address AI new threats and concerns. And I wonder if you would agree with me that we had an example of refraining from regulation with the internet, where, and I should declare an interest, having worked for Ofcom at the time, the decision was made to not regulate in order to support innovation, and then under successive Conservative governments there was a desire not to intervene in the market, and we see that the internet has been largely taken over by consolidated large companies and doesn't have the diversity of innovation or creativity and the safety that we might want to see.
Iqbal Mohamed.
My honourable friend for her intervention. The enforcement processes that we have for existing regulations where human beings are providing that service are in place and are auditable. We don't have enforcement mechanisms for these kind of services or this kind of regulated information being provided by the internet or by AI tools. So there is a need to extend the scope of regulation, but also the way by which we enforce those regulations when using automated tools. And I am a fan of innovation and growth and progress in society. However, we cannot move forward with progress at any cost. AI and the risk from AI, which I'll get to in my speech, they pose such a significant risk that if we leave it to, if we don't regulate at the right time, we won't have a chance to then make up that and get it back into control. It might become too late. So now is the time to start looking at this seriously and to start supporting the AI industry so that it is a force for good to society and not for a future force for destruction. The climate and nature emergency that we are all facing, AI is driving unprecedented growth in energy demand. According to the International Energy Agency, global data center electricity consumption will reach the same amount, slightly more than Japan's total electricity consumption today. A House of Commons Library research briefing found that UK data centres currently consume 2.5% of the UK's electricity, with the sector's consumption expected to rise fourfold by 2030. So the demand, this energy, increased demand strains the grid, slows transition to renewables and contributes to emissions that drive climate change. So this has to go hand in hand with our obligations under a climate change response. We have probably heard and read about AI's impact on the job market. So one of the clearest harms we are already seeing is loss of jobs. This is not a future worry, this is happening now. Independent analysis shows up to 8 million UK jobs are at risk from AI automation, with admin, customer service and junior professional roles the most exposed. Another harm we are already facing is the explosion of AI-driven scams. Gen AI-enabled scams have risen more than 450% in a single year, alongside a major surge in breached personal data and AI-generated phishing attempts. Deepfake-related fraud has increased by thousands of percent, and 1 in every 20 identity verification failures is now linked to AI manipulation. So moving on to the ugly or the threat to the world. The idea that AI developers may lose control of AI systems they create is not science fiction. It is the stated concern of the scientists who build this technology. The godfathers of AI, as we call them. And one of them being Yoshua Bengio. He states, if we build AIs that are smarter than, if we build AIs that are smarter than us and are not aligned with us and compete with us, then we're basically cooked. Geoffrey Hinton, another godfather of AI and a Nobel Prize winner for physics, he states, I actually think the risk is more than 50% of the existential threat. And Stuart Russell, who is the author of the Standard AI textbook, says if we pursue this current approach, then we will eventually lose control over the machines. In May 2023, hundreds of AI researchers and industry leaders signed a statement declaring mitigating the risk of extinction from AI should be a global priority alongside other societal scale risks such as pandemics and nuclear war. This is not scaremongering. These are professional experts that are warning us to make sure that this technology doesn't go out of control. So I will give way.
Just on this point about risk, can I highlight another area that's recently been brought to my attention, and that's from the British Sign Language community, who are concerned that the design of AI BSL, British Sign Language, isn't necessarily including BSL users, and the risk of, in a visual language, which relies on expression and tone and gestures, of mistranslation is quite considerable for that particular community. And I wondered if the Honourable Gentleman had considered how we best involve other communities in the use of AI when it's specifically generating language translation that's only particular to them.
Mohamed.
My honourable friend for her intervention, and I think she touches on a broader point, which is any area with experts and specialist requirements for end users or for the use of that tool for an audience or a demographic. Those people must be directly involved, and those experts in that specialism must be directly involved in the development, in the testing, in the verification, and in the follow-up auditing of the effectiveness of those tools that are developed. So what we're seeing is AI companies are racing to build more and more capable AI with an explicit end goal which is that AI is equal to or that can exceed the most capable human intellectual ability across all domains. AI companies are also pursuing AI which can be used to accelerate their own AI development. So it's a self-developing, self-perpetuating technology. For this reason, the many experts, some have quoted, say that this will lead to superintelligence soon after, or artificial superintelligent, or ASI. ASI is an AI system that significantly exceeds the upper limit of human intellectual ability across all domains. Other real-world examples, so the concerns and the risks and the dangers of AI are current, and they will only get worse. We are already seeing systems that behave in ways no one designed, deceiving users, manipulating their environments, and showing the beginnings of self-preserving strategies. Exactly the behaviors researchers predicted if AI developed without restraint. There are documented examples of deception where an AI contacted a human and asked the human to approve something by lying to them, saying that it was also a human contacting them and they had visual impairment. Manipulation, so there's an example of Meta's Cicero, an AI trained to play the game of diplomacy, which achieved human-level performance by negotiating, forming alliances, and then breaking those alliances when it benefited. Researchers noted the language was used strategically to mislead other players and to deceive them. This was not a glitch. It was a system. It was the system discovering manipulation as an effective strategy. So it taught itself how to deceive others to achieve an outcome. And self-preservation. So more concerning still are cases where models behave in ways to resemble self-preservation. And in recent tests on the DeepSeek R1 model, researchers found it concealed its intentions, produced dangerously misleading advice, and attempted to hack its reward signals when placed under pressure. Behaviors it was never trained to exhibit. These are early signs of systems acting beyond our instructions. But more advanced systems are on the horizon. Artificial general intelligence and even artificial superintelligence are no longer confined to speculative fiction. As lawmakers, we must understand their potential impacts and ensure we establish the rules, standards, and safeguards necessary to protect our economy, our environment, and our society if things go wrong. The potential risks, including extreme risks posed by AI, cannot be dismissed. This may be existential and cause the end of our species. The potential extinction risk from advanced AI, particularly through the emergence of superintelligence, will be capable of processing vast amounts of data, demonstrate superior reasoning across domains, and constantly seek to improve itself, ultimately outpacing humans and our ability to stop it in its tracks. The dangers of AI are rising. AI is already, as I've said, displacing jobs, increasing inequalities, amplifying existing social and economic inequalities, and threatening civil liberties. At the extreme, unregulated progress may create national security vulnerabilities with implications for the long-term survival of the human species. Empirical research in 2024 showed OpenAI occasionally displayed strategic deception in controlled environments. In one case, an AI was found to bypass its own testing containment through a backdoor it created. So having these development environments that are allegedly ring-fenced and disconnected from the wider world, the AI can be intelligent enough to find ways out. So right now, there is a significant lack of legislative measures to counter these developments, despite the top AI engineers asking us for this. We currently have a laissez-faire system where a sandwich has more regulation than AI companies, or even that of the rigorous safety standards placed on pharmaceuticals or aviation companies which protect public health. The UK cannot afford to fall behind on this. And I don't want to just talk about all doom and gloom. There is hope. The European Union, California, and New York are leading the way on strong AI governance. The EU's AI Act establishes a risk-based comprehensive regulatory framework. California is advancing detailed standards on system evaluations and algorithmic accountability. And New York has pioneered transparency and bias audit rules for automated decision-making. These approaches show that democratic nations can take bold, responsible action to protect their citizens while fostering innovation. We in the UK are fortunate to have a world-leading ecosystem of AI safety researchers. The UK AI Security Institute conducts essential work testing frontier models for dangerous capabilities. However, currently the AI SI relies on companies' goodwill to provide deployment action. To conclude, Madam Chair, we stand at the threshold of an era defined by AI. Our responsibility as legislators is clear. We cannot afford complacency, nor can we allow the UK to drift into a position where safety, transparency and accountability are afterthoughts rather than foundational principles. The risk posed by advanced AI systems, whether to our economy, our security or our very autonomy, are real, escalating and well documented by the world's leading experts. The United Kingdom has the scientific talent, the industrial capacity and the democratic mandate to lead in a safe and trustworthy AI. What we lack is the legislative framework to match that ambition. That is why I stand here to urge the government to urgently bring forward the AI bill as a cross-party endeavour, maybe even set up a dedicated select committee for AI. It is that serious, with members from...
the honourable gentleman, and I believe fellow engineer for around this intervention, and as the chair of the Select Committee for Science, Innovation and Technology, and I see a number of my fantastic members in this here and about to speak as well. I would like to say that the Select Committee has already looked at some of the challenges that AI presents our regulatory infrastructure and our government, and indeed heard from the Secretary of State, Liz Kenzel, just last week, who did give us an assurance that where there was a legislative need, she would bring forward legislation to address the threats posed by AI, though she did not commit to an AI bill. And we are indeed determined to continue to hold her to account on that commitment.
For her intervention, and I am grateful for the work that her Select Committee is doing. But what I would gently suggest is that you need representatives from all the other impacted Select Committees, Environment, Defence, Treasury, because AI will be affecting every single function of government, and we need to work together to protect ourselves from the overall holistic threat.
Simply to say that each of the Select Committees that I'm aware of, including the Defence Select Committee, which has looked at AI in defence, are looking at how AI does impact every single government department, and indeed security and cross-governmental issues as well. So, we won't talk about the process, if you like, of scrutiny. We all agree that scrutiny is really important.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad to hear that. So, just final two paragraphs, Madam Chair. If the United States and China raced to build the strongest systems, then let Britain be the nation that ensures this technology remains safe, accountable, and under human control. That is a form of leadership every bit as important as engineering, and it is one our nation is uniquely placed to deliver. This moment will not come again. We can choose to shape the future of AI, or we can wait for it to shape us. I believe this country still has the courage, the clarity and the moral confidence to lead, so I invite the government to take that leadership role. Thank you very much.
Thank you.